Welcome to Hamstrings 101. The topic, obviously, the hamstring muscles, back of the thigh. I'm going to touch on this today because of how important that muscle group is to so many other functions within the body. It's a predictor for low back pain. If the range of motion of your hamstrings is no good and you're very, very tight and restricted in its movement and function, you are at higher risk for lower back pain, being a huge reason why a lot of people end up coming through our doors. So if you're a member of the practice, do yourself a favor, pay attention to the hamstring muscle group and start stretching it properly and exercising it. Something to keep in mind when you're stretching. A lot of people, they mess up this stretch because the hamstring, it attaches back up to the pelvis. And so a lot of people, they will tuck their pelvis when they lean over, and they're going to be able to stretch super far. And they're like, oh, my hamstrings are really good, they're really flexible. The reality is they're stretching their spine more than they are their actual hamstring. If you want to get a really good deep stretch to the hamstring muscle group, you're going to need to make sure you have a little control of the pelvis and stick your butt out and flex the pelvis. If you can do that and then lean forward, you'll find you get that hamstring to stretch a lot sooner and you don't lean over nearly as far. Right here is a good stretch to my hamstring if I keep my pelvis flexed. If I relax the pelvis, I can go a lot further, giving the false stretch. So it gives me a false sense of the range of motion or flexibility to that muscle group. So when you're stretching your hamstrings, be diligent about keeping the pelvis flexed and sticking that butt out, and then lean forward, and you will get a much, much better, more effective stretch to the hamstring muscle. Keep it strong. A couple exercises that you can throw into your arsenal that don't require much for equipment. The first is a good morning. Feet hip width apart, looking straight ahead. You want to engage your core, and then you're going to lean forward with a very straight back. And you're going to lean forward until you feel those hamstrings come into stretch, and then you're just going to come right back up. You don't want to bend over and flex at the spine. You don't want to bounce and go hard and fast. It's a slow, controlled movement, very purposeful. Engage core, go strong, come down until you feel that stretch, come right back up. And just go for reps. This exercise not only helps strengthen hamstrings, but it also helps to engage the core quite well. That's why they call it a good morning. That's one of the names for it, because it's a really good movement and exercise to start your day out, get the core engaged, helps a lot of people with lower back issues. Another exercise is going to require an exercise ball. So if you have one of these therapy balls, exercise balls, whatever you want to call them, if you have one of these at home, put it to good use. One of the exercises that you can do for the hamstrings is what they call a hamstring curl. So you're going to need to make sure that your feet are up on there. I would highly recommend you bring the arms out at 90 degrees so that you're good and stable. Otherwise, you're going to be real tipsy at first. And as time goes on, you can tuck the arms in more so that it makes your body more narrow and less stable, which will cause the core to contract and work harder, so it kind of steps up the difficulty for yourself. But to start out, wing out the elbows, get them stable, and you're going to plank up into that straight plank position. And that's important for the form of this exercise. The exercise looks like this. You'll curl the hamstrings, bring those heels up towards the butt, and go right back out. The whole time, trying to keep nice straight body form. And that's taking that hamstring through a little resistance movement. At the same time, you're using your entire core to keep stable and balanced on the ball. So obviously you would do that for reps also. It doesn't beef up the muscle. If you're looking to body build, of course, you got to give it more resistance. But what we're talking here is more functional movement and more functional strength. So it's more toning and being stable within the body. Hamstrings are big muscle group for low back stability. So if you've had injuries, you've had trauma, you have instability to the lower back or the lower half of the body, the hamstring muscle group is one that you will want to pay more attention to and put more efforts into. These are just a couple of exercises. There's more out there. You can look those up too. But that stretch component with paying attention to your pelvic flexion, huge key to getting a proper stretch to the hamstrings. So hope that you find that information useful. If you do, please look into the other videos that we have online. You can click and subscribe and do all that good stuff. But it's all here for you. I hope you get a lot out of it, and we'll see you on the next one.